Good afternoon to everyone. I hope you can see us, you can hear us. We are sending regards from Podgorica studio. Behind of us you can see Grand Place of Brussels, but we are still in Podgorica, just a small remark. For the beginning, let me introduce myself. I'm Milena Krasic. I'm Head of Department for Resources and Fishing Fleet Management in Montenegrin Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Water Management. And today I will acting as moderator of our thematic session. Today I'm going to moderate this event with the capacity of Deputy Pillar Coordinator for Pillar 1, Blue Growth. Today here with me is my colleague Miloš Mugoša from the Facility Point Project Partner for Montenegro, and Miloš will kindly help us with facilitating technical moderation of this session. Speaking about technical moderation of this session, in right part of your screen you will find a networking possibilities in this platform. So during our session, there will be a live chat option. You as participant will have opportunity to ask questions, to comment discussion, and we are encouraging you to using that option. Also, we prepare some questions for the audience with already given multiple answers. So again, we are encouraging audience to use that option and to communicate with us in this interesting way. At the end of the session, we hope we will have time to read result of this poll question with given multiple answers. That would be option possibility later when we start with our thematic session. Speaking about technical issues, I also want to thank to Serbian colleagues for their effort and for their work done in organization of this forum, which enabling us to meet in this virtual format. And I hope that you're doing well in these COVID-19 challenging times. And I hope for the next forum, we will have possibility to meet in person and to discuss our priority subject from the same room. Our thematic session for the Blue Growth is with the title Improving Competitiveness of Freshwater Aquaculture Production in Adriatic and Neonia region. Why we decide to discuss about this topic is because aquaculture plays major role in achieving food security, employment and economic development in Adriatic and Ionian region, and also reducing the dependence of the overexploiting wild stocks. From the blue growth perspective, aquaculture is a strategic sector for the future development and holds, as we believe, great potential for the countries and the communities in Adriatic and Ionian region. If managed and governed properly, it can provide multiple benefits in terms of nutritious food and positive socioeconomic outcomes. Importance of aquaculture sector is also recognized in the frame of our strategy of EUSAIR, European Strategy of Adriatic and Ionian region, and aquaculture is recognized as a priority from the very beginning of implementation of EUSAIR from 2015. Also last year, 2020, aquaculture is also again recognized as a priority proposed by our thematic steering group. And aquaculture is going to be embedded in future programming period 2021-2027. For that reason, we create a flagship for aquaculture, and we decide to focus on promoting sustainability, diversification, and competitiveness in aquaculture sectors through education, research and development, administrative, technological, and marketing actions, as well as including the promotion of initiatives on marketing standards and healthy nutritional habits. On the other hand, growth of aquaculture production poses challenges for the overall sustainability of the sector, and in the long term raises concern from different points of view, such as governance, spatial planning, economic and market issues, also ecological and environmental concerns. Anyhow, sustainable aquaculture means ensuring not only the industrially is economically and environmentally sustainable, but also ensure that farms operate in a socially and culturally responsible manner. As you already know, a number of activities can be addressed these challenges I mentioned in regional, national, and local level, and a lot of activities can be done, especially in the mariculture, actually marine aquaculture sector. On the other hand, freshwater aquaculture in Adriatic and Ionian region is still on his traditional level, more or less, and traditional farming methods, which combine with the slow growth rate and high production cost. So it requires further innovative activities and exchange of best practices to increase efficiency and competitiveness of freshwater aquaculture sector. Speaking about competitiveness of aquaculture sector, we all know that nowadays aquaculture is affected by the crisis caused by the pandemic of COVID-19, and many countries reporting decline in aquaculture production and also reporting disturbances in market and supply chain. And appears that liquidity for many farmers will become an issue. So we organize this session in order to emphasize again the importance of aquaculture sector. We are going to discuss how to improve its competitiveness, mainly through innovation and marketing issues, as well as discuss how pandemic has affected aquaculture in the region and what mitigation measures and perspective can be envisaged for the future. So our panelists, with their competencies and respective field of interest, will try to give answers on these important issues. We have invited, for that reason, panelists or representative of administration, research, and science, and hope we are going to have fruitful discussion about all aspects of improving competitiveness of aquaculture in general. And we will more focus, if possible, on freshwater aquaculture. Since Adriatic and Ionian aquaculture consist of various culture systems and varying stages of development, for the beginning of our session, we have the opportunity to get acquainted with the aquaculture sector in the particular country in North Macedonia. I also want to inform you that from the last year, North Macedonia became a new member of our EUSAIR and start implementation of EUSAIR as a 9th country. We used to have eight countries, and now we have North Macedonia as a 9th country. So today with us is Ms. Violeta Mihajlovska. Violeta is agricultural engineer, which is working from 2019 as advisor for analysis, planning, and development in the Fisheries unit in the North Macedonian Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, and Water Economy. And Violeta is also a new member of our thematic steering group for Pillar 1. I hope Violeta is here, and she is going to present us the structure of aquaculture in North Macedonia, and also will provide us with information about impact of COVID-19 of aquaculture sector in Macedonia and what measures they undertake as a government to deal with that pandemic of COVID. Violeta, the floor is yours. If you are here, you can share with us your presentation and start your presenting about sector in Macedonia.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Milena, for your introduction. And as you mentioned, this is mine and my country's first participation in thematic season for Pillar 1 Blue Growth. And I would like to thank the organizers of the forum too for the opportunity to present the specificity of aquaculture sector in North Macedonia and aspect of impact of COVID-19 pandemics. Due to the fact that we are limited with time, I'm going to start with my presentation. On the first slide, I represent the current situation in North Macedonia, and I would like to mention that as a landlocked country, freshwater aquaculture is very important for us, and it's regulated with law on fisheries and aquaculture and several rule books. 108 aquaculture facilities have been registered in the Register of Fish Breeders within Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Water Economy. Second main document is Program for Development of Fisheries and Aquaculture for a period of 12 years. This is a multi-annual strategic plan for our country with the explanation of current situation, analysis of sector, proposals for development, and provide measures which are used for preparing the annual program for financial support. Aquaculture production, besides the law on fisheries and aquaculture, is also regulated with regulations from veterinary health issues. On this slide, you can see the charts with data of total production and aquaculture production. In the interest of time, I will not comment the numbers, and I'm going to the next slide, in which graphic charts with comparison of total and aquaculture production are presented. As you can see, around 96 to 97% of total fish production is from aquaculture, and only 3 to 4% is from catch of commercial fishing from natural lakes, Ohrid, Prespa and Doiran Lake, and from 2 artificial lakes. On this slide, the situation on aquaculture production per year is presented, and you can notice that it's constantly ascending year to year, and the increased production is a result of increased intention of aquaculture, the incentive and opportunity the state gives to the producers, etc. The most common species represented in aquaculture are trout, mainly rainbow trout, then brown or river trout, and Ohrid trout in very small quantities. They are represented with 63% of total aquaculture production in North Macedonia. The carp, with 34% of total aquaculture production, is the second common species. Catfish and other warm water species are represented in very small quantities. Cold water fish farm, mainly trout farms, are located mostly on mountains region, rich with unpolluted, fast-flowing, oxygen-rich, cool and clear waters. It's very interesting and unconventional that breeding of the carp is taking place in cages located in artificial lakes, and as well as traditional method of breeding in drainable ponds. Mostly the fish farms are small family business, and the major part of the farms are below 20 tons of production capacity. Then middle are around 30%, and only four fish farms are over 100 tons of production capacity. Our country has a potential for development in this sector and such as unpolluted nature, clean oxygen-rich waters, etc. I would like to mention the opportunity that states give to the subjects who are interested to be part of aquaculture sector with prescribed administrative procedures. I must notice that we have intention for their simplification. And the second very important moment is the financial support from the national and IPA funds. Every year, the government adopts program for financial support for fisheries and aquaculture, in which measures for aquaculture are presented with 50% of total amount of funds prescribed for investments like construction, reconstruction of fish farms, equipment procurement, and also for stocking material. Besides national support, possibility of using the IPA funds are given to the aquaculture producers through the IPART program, especially by Measure 7, Farm Diversification and Business Development, with 50% refunded cost of total investment, and with Measure 3, Investments in Physical Assets concerning processing and marketing of agriculture and fishery products, with 65 refunded costs of total investment. That was all for the specificity of aquaculture in North Macedonia, and now I am going to the next, to the second part of my presentation, the impact of pandemic. The pandemic has a big influence in this sector. Through the contacts that we made with producers, we assume that lockdown that we had in the first months from the start of the pandemic, the closed restaurants and their limited working time. Also, the ban of celebrations and strict limit of grouping has made influence in demand and sales of fish. Namely, the aquaculture producers said that low demand for fish decreased their sales from 40 to 50%. The sales that producers had this year were mostly in markets or fish stores. Another problem for aquaculture producers is uncertainty for production of fish and placing to the market for the next period. Support for companies to reduce the impact of pandemic. I must say that we didn't take specific measures and interventions in the aquaculture sector, but the government adopted packages of economic measures to help the companies affected of pandemic, where aquaculture producers have been included too. One of those measures, and may I say the main economic measure, was support of payment of minimal salary amount for employees. Another very popular measure was subsidies 50% of contributions for the employees. With those measures, opportunity had been given to the producers who applied and got amount of funds to preserve the jobs for their employees. Another measure related with the banks was the delayed and reprogrammed repayment of loans to the bank, which gives the time to subjects that have more time for repayments of loans, and it's depending on the policy of the bank. Through Development Bank of North Macedonia, a non-interested credits were available for all small and medium enterprises, and it also was offered 30% of grant for those companies that are run or founded by women or employ young people. So I know that is another package of measures is under preparing for this period and will be soon promoted. So I was trying to be fast and thank you for your attention.
Yes, you are very fast, and thank you for that, because we have another 4 panelists, and unfortunately for this format we have only 70 minutes, so we hope for the next 4 we will have more time. Thank you for your presentation. I'm also from the aquaculture sector, working for 10 years for the ministry, mainly about aquaculture, and for me it's very interesting to see how aquaculture sector functioning in North Macedonia, and also thank you for the COVID measures explaining. Now we are moving to the next panelist, and we will leave possible questions after we finish with all panelists. For the continuation of our session, we are inviting speaker for forum hosting country from Serbia, and today with us is Mr. Mirko Novakovic. Mirko is working from 2006 as a senior advisor in the group of animal husbandry and processing of livestock products in Serbian Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Water Management. He is also involved in negotiation process of Serbia with European Union under Chapter 30 Fisheries, acting as a deputy chairman, and he is also our member of thematic steering group for Pillar 1 Blue Growth in the context of EUSAIR. Mirko is going to present also a little bit sector in Serbia with focus on state of play of problems and potential that aquaculture have in Serbia, but also is going to cover one more important aspect of how scientific support acting to the improvement of freshwater aquaculture in Serbia. Mirko, floor is yours. You can start your presentation and share your PowerPoint presentation if you have one.
Thank you, Milan. And first of all, I would like to express my grateful because we finally involved freshwater aquaculture in the panel discussion of Adriatic initiative. So it's very important for us as a landlocked country, and I will present you state of play of the aquaculture in Serbia. Okay. Just to now we can start. This presentation has been prepared together with Professor Zoran Markovic from Faculty of Agriculture here in Belgrade, Serbia, because he is in charge for the scientific development of aquaculture and one of the most important persons in this process. And fish production in Serbia has been performed in carp fish farms most in quantity than trout fish farms 2 to 3 times less than the amount of carp produced. Then within in a cage system where we have small numbers of cage systems, RAS systems, which are rather new here in Serbia, and there are several with smaller capacity RAS and aquaponic systems, only few with a small capacity. Location of fish farms, you can see on the map, dark brown color is the area with the big carp fish farms, that is the Vojvodina region, and trout fish farms are mainly located in south and the east of Serbia, and this is close to Bosnian border and Bulgarian border also. When we speak about the fish production, most quantity, as I mentioned before, is a carp production, and this is 2 to 3 times more than the trout production. And in the last couple of years, trout production has been increased. And when we speak about the fish produced in aquaculture per capita, this is around 1 kilo, and we had some years below that average, but usually it is around 1 kilo per head. And when we speak about the warm water carp fish species, you can see from 2008 increased to 2011, fell, and then from 2013 and 14 decreased in amount of production. I will explain what is the reason for that in the previous period. And you can see on the map, on the chart also decreased of juvenile fish production. That was the reason for that, that the whole sector was covered with diseases. When you speak about the most important species in warm water fish farms, first species on that list is carp, then after white and gray bighead, then white grass carp, and catfish is also producing. We also produce catfish in small amount, and other warm water. When you speak about the trout production, that is mainly rainbow trout, and the areas went up in the last couple of years. Reason for that was investment in all the fish farms, and also some new were built. And based on that, we have increased the quantity of production. And you can see that from 700,000 tons in 2011, now we have more than 2,000 tons renewable fish that has been produced in trout farms. Sectors dealing with different problems, and when we speak about the carp aquaculture, we have koi herpes virus disease from 2013, and that is something what has been significantly affected our aquaculture production, especially when we speak about the carp production and carp edema virus. So you saw on this slide development on a level of productivity in this. But also I have to mention that in the last couple of years we have a slow recovering of the sector, especially through the smaller farms with intensive system production. When we speak about the trout aquaculture, climate changes are something that mostly affected this production because they need fresh water, and we have the problem with the lower amount of water. And also we have problems caused by COVID-19, and it is a similar situation like in Macedonia. So we had closed farmer markets during the spring period and prohibition of gatherings. So shortened restaurant start opening hours, ban of gatherings, celebration, and that is something what has happening during the entire COVID period. And consequences are decrease in sales of freshwater fish, and that was 30% fall in prices due to reduced demand, and carp price was reduced by 30%, trout price around 10%. That all caused reduced financial potential of fish farmers and discontinuation of pond production, mainly when we speak about the carp. Trout farmers still remain at the same level, but carp producers are most affected with COVID problem. When we speak about the potential of the country of changes, first of all, we have to stress that there are very large areas of low fertility land in Vojvodina, especially in Banat region, and that land is close to water courses and canals, and on this land we can produce carp, and we can build new carp fish ponds. Also, we have available water resources for the feeding. We have domestic raw material excluded fish meal for fish feed, then a large capacity for production of extruded fish feed that is used more and more in our carp. Then existence of modern breeding programs for carp and trout, and that breeding programs were also supported by the government through the annual breeding programs that we're planning for every year. Then rising processing capacity. We have a new modern processing facilities that invest a lot in their production and trying to find their spot not only on the domestic market but also on the European market, and in this sector we have most of the facility has a license to export to the European Union. Then what is the chances for the development of this sector is deficit of fish on the domestic market and also at the European market, and constant growth of production, consumption in Europe and in the world. And that consumption cannot be fulfilled by capture fisheries. That has to be something what need to be additionally produced in aquaculture. In previous period, we were trying to connect more science and production, and that is why we have been established in 20 years ago at the Faculty of in Belgrade International Conference with small fairs and workshops for the producers, and that event happens every 3 years, and that is something what have a very important tradition for the aquaculture development. And you can see at the photos these sessions are very well visited, and people are satisfied with this information that they can get at this. Based on the effort of the people from the Faculty of Agriculture, in 2009 has been established Center for Fisheries and Applied Hydrobiology called Little Danube, what is experimental field that shows a whole Danube road through the Europe and at the end at the Black Sea. And in this scientific field, our students has a practical gains and experience at work in a well-developed aquaculture facility. This is a RAS system, and also they're learning about the technique of breeding of trout and carp. Thanks to the scientific results and cooperation of scientists and producers, carp farming technology based on extruded feed has been introduced in Serbia since 2005, and that has resulted in multiple carp production, as you can see on the below, but also from 2013 you saw the effect of koi herpes virus and the reduction of total production of smaller fish farms in the last couple of years. And in the past few years, a dozen small carp ponds that produce carp in intensive system in a 2-year cycle have been established, and results are shortened production period from 3 to 2 years, increased production per hectare, 5 to 10 tons, and fish ponds are supplied with water from the fire, thereby providing a better quality of the water, which has a positive impact on the quality of meat of carp, and the production is based exclusively on extruded feed, which additionally enables improvement of the quality of carp. And what we expect in the coming period from the obtained scientific results are production of omega-3 carp with increased content of polyunsaturated fatty acids and improved ratio of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Then with the use of selective juvenile carp to increase production and results on carp fish farms, and also from the juvenile selected trout to have increased production on trout farms. That is something what is most important to increase effectiveness and to provide good quality products that we can offer to our customers. Thank you. That is shortly about the situation in aquaculture in Serbia. Now I will continue with the further discussion about the topics that we have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mirko. It is interesting to see that Serbia started with recirculation system in aquaculture as well as aquaponic, and also that you have a lot of communication with and scientific research in place. Especially it was interesting about providing exhibition centers with cooperation with universities. So it is very interesting for me to see this, because we from Montenegro, we are involved in the General Fisheries Commission for Mediterranean, and we have a very little opportunity to see sectors from Serbia, North Macedonia, and other countries which do not have access to the sea. So thank you, Mirko, for that. We will leave possible questions later, and just to inform audience that full question is available in the your right corner in the live discussion place. So if you have time, please answer that question. That would be interesting to see us at the very beginning of our panel. Moving to the next speaker, it is important, something that is very important for improving competitiveness of aquaculture sector is research, development and innovation sector. But also what is important to stress is sharing of that achieved results from research, development and innovation sector with another aquaculture stakeholders like administration, other researchers, aquaculture farmers, and aquaculture clusters. In continuation of our session, we will be informed about some innovative activities and achievements which is done through the New Tech Aqua project, which is financed under Horizon 2020 program. And today is with us is Mr. Alessio Bonaldo. Mr. Bonaldo is a specialist in fish nutrition, dealing with innovative protein sources as well as feeding strategies to improve aquaculture production and fish health. Mr. Bonaldo has very impressive biography, which implies a large number of different positions he is covering, like associate professor at the Department of Veterinary Medical Sciences in University of Bologna. Also, he is the head of Research Center for Blue Growth at the same university, as well as director of the Master in Aquaculture and Ichthyopathology. He is also coordinator of mentioned project, New Tech Aqua project, and also he is author or co-author of 22 scientific papers in the aquaculture field. Professor is going to provide us with some outcomes of mentioned project, New Tech Aqua project, and with more focus about how to increase sustainability of aqua feed, how to limit use of antimicrobials or antibiotics in aquaculture, and also how industry can help to sustain and to increase aquaculture production. Professor, floor is yours to share your presentation if you have.
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you. You can start.
Thank you. Thank you. I would also like to thank the organizers of this very interesting forum and workshop. I hope that to give a useful contribute to the discussion. You already heard my name and my short CV. Yeah, they asked me today to share with the audience some information about this project called New Tech Aqua, which is an Horizon 2020 project that started at the beginning of last year, like an example or a sort of case study of innovations that could be also developed and demonstrated in Adriatic Ionian region. Before starting, I would like to give you some information also about Italian aquaculture, which is my country, and the country where I live and work, like the other speakers did. Italy is a very good place for aquaculture because we have more than 9,000 kilometers of coastline, big rivers, lagoons. So it's the perfect place for aquaculture in some way. And we have also a very long tradition and history for aquaculture from Roman Empire, they said. And now we have also a high level of specialization, know-how, expertise, and also technology. We mainly produce mollusks in the northern Adriatic Sea, namely mussels and Manila clams. But we also have good productions of finfish, like rainbow trout and bass and bream, Mediterranean fish species. We are, on the other hand, we are not the big producers. This is a problem that we are facing and we are trying to solve. We need to grow like the other countries in the Mediterranean area, because we are producing just 100,000 mollusks tons and like more or less 60,000 tons of finfish. But for example, we have the biggest producer of trout in Europe, the company Rede Rossi. We have a very big consortium for mussel production, certifications. We have good organizations of producers. So I would say that it's a very well-developed value chain in Italy. We have also a very traditional, extensive aquaculture production system you should know, called Vallicoltura in northern Adriatic Sea, which is done in these brackish lagoons to produce gray mullet, bream, eels, and other fish species, which is now more interesting than in the past for the environmental services that these environments can provide to the area where they are present in terms of, for example, of carbon sequestration, of or organic productions, or antibiotic-free productions. And of course, for finfish and mollusk production in the sea, the technologies are more developed and advanced. In the last 6 years, as the other countries in Europe, we have worked within the European Maritime and Fisheries funds with a very good operational program, I would say. A great job has been done. Many tools and supports have been provided to the stakeholders of the aquaculture sector. But until now that the program has finished, we know that there is still a big effort to be done to increase aquaculture in Italy, in Europe, and also in Adriatic Ionian region. We need more sustainable aquaculture. We need to increase aquaculture production, and we also need to be more competitive in comparison, for example, to northern aquaculture and salmon production. We have been inspired by this experience in Italy to develop together with other partners in Europe this project called, as I already said, New Tech Aqua. This is the dashboard of the project. Is almost a 7 million euros project. Started the 1st January 2020. Is a blue growth topic. About sustainable aquaculture, European aquaculture 4.0, and is coordinated by myself, by the University of Bologna. We are 26 partners, and it's very interesting to see that the majority of partners are private companies, and with a different geographical origin, but also with different characteristics, because we have, for example, the the biggest salmon producer from one side, and from the other side, a very small inland basin bream farm in Italy with just 10 employees. So it's a very variegated consortium, and also a consortium where the private companies supported us in drafting the project, and now in demonstrating the innovation that research institutes are trying to develop in field and in operational level. During the discussions we had with these partners, we realized that, as I already said, that the first objective is to increase aquaculture production. We cannot talk about sustainability if we are not able to increase productions. As already said, aquaculture is one of the most important tools to provide food for all. And it's important, especially in this area, to increase productions and reduce fishery pressure in the wild stocks. So the objective is to expand and diversify aquaculture, but by developing and validating resilient and sustainable applications. We choose to work on a very large number of species: finfish, mollusk, and microalgae. As you can see, there are not so many, unfortunately, not so many freshwater species, but you will see that the innovations we are working on are easily doable and demonstratable in a freshwater environment. So we chose four, let's say, the most important fish species produced in Europe: salmon, trout, bass and bream. But we also decided to diversify the production to work on amberjack, meager, sole, and mullet. Then, of course, we also included mollusks with the oysters and mussels. And we also added activities on microalgae, which is a sort of aquaculture, which is a very new area of development now, with new technologies that can produce microalgae for many purposes: for food, feed, biofuel, for cosmetics, and for many different aims. In trying to address this objective and talking with the stakeholders, we let's say listed the innovations that are included in the project in 6 categories, which in our opinion are still the categories that the most important categories to address when we talk about innovation in aquaculture. The first one is the Industry 4.0, which in aquaculture is called aquaculture precision farming. It is, of course, the new challenge for all the animal production area. The feed improvement, the genetic improvement. Already has been mentioned that genetic improvement is one of the key factors to increase productivity and sustainability of aquaculture production. New species and new products for diversify the production, and new farming systems like aquaponics. I have in 2 slides just a list of innovations that we are working on, because there are many, and I don't have time to explain everything here, of course. Aqua Feed first is the key factor to increase productivity and sustainability in aquaculture. Is the major cost in aquaculture production. And we will work on 3 topics. One is the pro-health feeds, which is the utilization of botanicals and additives to increase welfare and health of fish, limiting the use of antimicrobials. It's possible to increase welfare just by adding molecules like we are doing in our diets, like vitamins or prebiotics or probiotics, able to increase health of fish. Organic feed, which is a very interesting topic, but with many bottlenecks, because there is a lack of organic ingredients for aqua feed formulation, lack of protein, plant proteins from organic production. So we are looking at new organic plant proteins able to be used in aqua feed formulations, and zero waste feeds that are feeds without fish meal. It's possible now to completely eliminate the wild forage fish meal from aqua feed. So by using byproducts, by using algae, for example, by using circular ingredients. Then more quickly, the other innovations about precision fish farming is possible to provide farmers with new tools to support them in managing their farms. For example, we have a supporting decision system for salmon and bass and bream farmers, able to predict parasite outbreaks in farms. Farms can be informed by this system that maybe in 1 week an important disease outbreaks will occur. Looking at previous data, environmental data, and of course a very huge amount of data. When the farmer is informed that something will happen maybe in 1 week, of course he's able to make all the actions to prevent or to limit this outbreak. We have IBM as a partner to process all this data, because it is not an easy issue, especially for salmon production. Then we work also on different recirculation systems, aquaponic recirculation system, which is a very interesting topic in inland and countries without sea, and also satellite systems to support mollusk farms to choose the best place to produce, for example, mollusks. And then even more quickly, breeding programs, already told about that. I already said about that, new species, which are in this case only marine species, but it's very important also to add, in my opinion, new freshwater species. And last but not least, the valorization of byproducts, which is a very big amount of organic matter that is wasted, but is still possible to utilize it for new products if you are able to process these byproducts to increase shelf life, increase quality, and guarantee safety. These are some pictures of this first year of activities. On the left, top left, there is a system able to support hatcheries to control a broodstock in real time, like environmental characteristics or egg production or movements in the tank. On the right, we have a broodstock of amberjack kept in Greece. On the right, on the bottom right, you can see here 46 families of salmon that are selected to increase the feed conversion rate, an aquaponic system with salad, and preserved seafood with low thermal technologies, able to increase shelf life by maintaining the quality as fresh products. Yeah, I have my last slide is about the new opportunities, because in the first call of Horizon Europe, there will be 3 topics about freshwater aquaculture, which are very interesting. We are, as a University of Bologna, we are already working in it. And one of them, probably, at least we will try to coordinate one project to address one of these topics. So if anyone is interested in joining us or asking for information, it's possible, of course, by contacting me. Be informed about the activities that we will start in a few months about these new topics that will be published probably at the end of this year or at the beginning of next year. These are my contacts, if you want. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Bonaldo. I'm sorry that we don't have more time to hear about your activities in detail. And I'm really impressed about the number of activities you start during this project. And as far as I understand, you are going to finish project in 2023. So I hope we will meet again to see what are your final outcomes and to discuss what of these outcomes aquaculture sector can apply. So we need to move quickly because we are running out of time. And in continuation, we will have also speaker from research sector. It's covering topic of market. And market is a very important issue in improving competitiveness of aquaculture sector. Today with us is Dr. Eleni Kaymakoudi. Eleni, I hope I'm reading your surname in correct way. Correct me later if not. Eleni is also speaker with impressive biography like Professor Bonaldo. She is working as a researcher in Agricultural Economic Research Institute of Greece. As far I understand from biography, she is a biologist and holds PhD in the market chain analysis of fishery products. Eleni has diversity of previous professional experience like project coordinator, research associate, project management, and expert in Horizon 22 evaluation. Eleni has a broad teaching experience in field of consumer behavior, food, health and safety, as well as environmental protection. He is also author of number of scientific national and international papers, especially in the field of market analysis and consumption of aquatic products. Her impressive experience, Eleni is going to share with us by presenting major market issues in aquaculture. Eleni, floor is yours if you're ready.
Okay, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You can start.
Excellent. Okay. Is it okay? Can you see it?
If you mean your PowerPoint presentation, we cannot see it.
You cannot. Why? Now?
No. Eleni, you can use, for us it's okay to hear you, so you can use your presentation as support to your speech, so you can start, if it's okay for you.
I cannot see anything.
There is an option share screen.
Yes, I pressed that, I know, but why? I cannot
work.
understand why I cannot.
Maybe the technical moderators should enable you to share the screen. Maybe you are not allowed yet for the option of share screening, screen sharing, so maybe the technical moderators could.
I cannot understand why.
In any case, I suggest you can start your presentation.
Okay, yes,
and you can use your PowerPoint presentation
No problem. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Eleni Kaymakoudi, and I'm a researcher in Agricultural Economics Research Institute in Athens, in Greece, in the field of marketing of agricultural products. Today, I will refer to the main marketing issues that aquaculture faces, as well as its future prospects. Why aquaculture is important, why we need aquaculture production. Especially today, there is a growing demand for fish consumption, while at the same time, wild fishery stocks are continuously decreased. As a result, aquaculture today is contributing to more than half of global fish production intended for human consumption, makes it up the fastest growing primary production sector in the world, with an annual growth rate of nearly 5.3% over the last 2 decades at global level. However, the aquaculture sector still faces major marketing challenges, whereas several recent studies have pointed out that consumers lack awareness regarding aquaculture's risks and benefits, creating an image problem within the European public. Additionally, it has been observed that there is a great preference towards wild fish versus farm fish. This is due to the fact that usually farm fish is considered of lower quality and safety product, indicating an overall lack of awareness regarding farm fish production and their potential safety and quality characteristics. Therefore, it is important for the aquaculture sector to focus on improving products communication in order to increase the demand of farm fish. A marketing strategy aiming to boost awareness will promote the consumption of farm fish and will reinforce the image of the sector as a whole. Consequently, information programs are needed in order to boost potential safety and quality characteristics and increase public awareness towards farm fish production. This potentially will enhance publicity for the aquaculture sector and will contribute in cleanliness of the whole sector. Therefore, it is important for the aquaculture sector to adapt marketing strategies aiming to increase public awareness regarding farm fish production and their potential safety and quality characteristics. This potentially will improve the value for the product to the customer and will provide a more positive perception towards farm fish in the market. In future, the long-term viability of the aquaculture sector will strongly depend upon consumer and market orientation. This is particularly important, especially today, where there is a growing demand for product quality and safety, and at the same time, an increasing market share of organic foods is observed. This is essential for the aquaculture sector to further ensure its development upon a sustainable manner, and most important, to communicate this effectively to consumers. Therefore, organic aquaculture production seems to be a dynamic sector with major perspectives, where it should be based upon consumer insurance, enabling value-added products with healthy image. A marketing strategy aiming to increase awareness and promote the sustainability benefits of organic aquaculture could reinforce the dynamics of the sector as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eleni. I'm sorry you couldn't share your presentation, but if possible, you can share it with us so we can send to other participants for them to be informed. I don't know. Thank you for provide us with important information how to improve product image, to boost public image, also some aspects of organic food to be introduced. I don't know, do we have time, because we are running out of time, so in that reason we are moving to our final speaker. Our final speaker is representative of European Commission, Ms. Lorela de la Cruz Iglesias. Lorela is a deputy head of unit, blue economy sectors, aquaculture and maritime special planning in the Directorate General of Maritime Affairs and Fisheries in European Commission. And Lorela, I hope will provide us or give us a regional aspect of our topic and presenting some challenges and opportunities for aquaculture in the Adriatic and Ionian region, and also tackle COVID-19 impact on aquaculture sector, if possible, in Adriatic and Ionian region, and also to explain to us what European Commission doing in that regard, some strategies, policies, or funding possibilities to mitigate this impact and crisis caused by COVID. Lorela, floor is yours, and if you have presentation, I hope it's going to function.
I think it's already there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's there. So you can start.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to this thematic session, to the organizers. And well, I'm really happy to be here because all this reflection about challenges and opportunities for aquaculture in the EUSAIR region is also something that we are doing, in fact, in the EU. And in fact, my team and the broader team in the Commission, we are now looking into a new strategy for EU aquaculture and its sustainable development. So it's very, very good to be here and share this with you. Of course, many of the things we have work on for the EU are applicable to the region and beyond the EU, obviously. So I would like to start maybe very shortly. I think you are all familiar with how EU aquaculture policy works. We have basically an area where competence is mostly on member states. So it's basically a coordination policy. And this is based on a vision that is reflected in strategic guidelines that were adopted by the Commission back in 2013 and member states' national strategic plans for the sector. Of course, we also have to ensure the application of the EU acquis, the legislation on different areas to the sector. And finally, in terms of implementing our objective or achieving the objective of development, a sustainable development of the sector, we have available funds, EU funds. We have mentioned already here, or the speakers mentioned some, like Horizon 2020 or Horizon Europe for research and innovation, but of course we have a specific fund on maritimes and fisheries that also applies to aquaculture. So opportunities, I think they have been mentioned already. Obviously, aquaculture plays a major role in food supply and food security, especially when we take into account the high dependence of the market, of the EU market, on imports for meeting the consumption of seafood. 70% of the consumption is met through imports. Now we also have to stress very much, especially in the context of the new agenda, EU policy agenda and the European Green Deal, the increasing demand for sustainable foods. And also for food that is closer to the consumer in respect of, for environmental reasons or for societal reasons. There's some attraction for food that is supplied more locally. And also aquaculture, as recognizing the farm-to-fork strategy of the European Commission, has a potential to offer a lower carbon footprint of source of food and feed. So that's something that is a real opportunity to exploit. Obviously, aquaculture continues to play a very important role in terms of coastal and rural development. Already the strategic guidelines that were adopted in 2013 identified 4 priority areas to work on, like administrative procedures, space, competitiveness, and ensuring a level playing field. Now we are looking into a new strategy, as I mentioned, following an evaluation of the results of the open method of coordination for EU aquaculture. We came to the conclusion, as many of the speakers have also mentioned, that there's still potential for growth for the sector, but also for sustainable growth. And then there's a need for a new strategy, and this strategy will also reflect the new ambitions of the EU policy agenda, like I refer to European Green Deal and related strategies like Farm to Fork, that intends to ensure that there is sustainable food systems in the EU and beyond. We also had to take into consideration, obviously, the situation that was that arise from COVID-19 pandemic and how to build recovery and resilience for the sector. And one important element is that also this new strategy comes with new programming in the next programming for the EU funds, that the ones that I already mentioned. The objectives are mentioned, have been mentioned already by several speakers. I mean, growth, we're still intending to promote the growth of the sector, still a big potential for that. Competitiveness and resilience, obviously, long-term resilience, and also more important, are not more important, very important as well, as green transition, green recovery. The recovery for the sector from the pandemic, from the impact of the pandemic, has to be a green recovery. The new strategic guidelines that will replace those adopted in 2013 will address a very broad number of issues. And here in this slide, I present some of them. And for example, well, we mentioned, our previous speaker mentioned communication. This is certainly something very important for the development of the sector. There's also diversification, that is something important. Improving environmental performance, facing climate change impact. All these things are important. And of course, many of these things were already identified in the action plan for the region in 2014. And here I'm quoting some of the language that is used in the action plan. Talking specifically about freshwater aquaculture, there are some specific challenges for this sector. It has been mentioned already, access to water. This is a challenging aspect because of the increased competition for water, for the use of water, but also because of the impact of climate change that, for example, leads to more frequent drought. There's also a challenge that brings being a more traditional sector in a way. For example, pond aquaculture is a quite traditional way of production. And the fact that there's small scale very often and profitability is not always optimal. Another issue I would mention is commercialization. Very often freshwater aquaculture relies on direct sale to the consumer and whole and fresh. And of course, this is not maybe this may not be matching the demand from younger generations that are looking for products that are more, convenience products that are ready to eat or ready to cook. And so this is something that also has to be addressed. And also further integration with the retailers of this sector. And last but not least, fragmentation. The freshwater aquaculture sector is often composed of small-scale producers that are not organized, and therefore collective action and the benefits of this is not manifested in the sector. And the fact that this helps to gather the efforts and resources among different producers and therefore act more efficiently. For freshwater aquaculture, we see a lot of opportunities. First of all, diversification. There's a big margin for diversification. We have some EU-funded research that is looking into new species, not only for freshwater aquaculture, obviously, but also for freshwater aquaculture. The potential of farming local species as well. There is also an opportunity in freshwater aquaculture that has a low impact on the environment. Not only that, but also that offers environmental services. If this is valued, this is a real opportunity for the sector. Increasing organic production, for example, new production methods like polyculture. We talk about RAS, aquaponics. Then more efforts in branding and traceability so that the consumer can decide to choose this type of aquaculture because they are better informed about the quality and the origin of the product. As I mentioned, developing innovative products, fillets, ready-to-cook products from freshwater aquaculture. There's also a lot of potential in integrating freshwater aquaculture with other activities like tourism or preservation of the nature, etc. And then value chain integration and also supply circuits that are more and more in trend are also an opportunity for freshwater aquaculture. I was also asked to refer to the impact of COVID-19 in the aquaculture sector. We unfortunately will have full data available yet. There will be a new economic report on aquaculture coming probably in April, in the spring, that will give us a more accurate view on what the real impact has been on the sector. But we have obviously information that came from member states, from the industry, that was reported to the European Commission. I think most of the impacts that have been referred to, of course, lower sales because of the closing of Oreca, and also the slowdown of demand from the consumers of fresh fish because consumers were tending to stockpile food, and obviously that's not ideal for fresh produce, and this leading to a lower income and risk for the liquidity of the farmers, but also a stock management cost. Of course, for fish farmers, it's not the production cycle cannot be controlled as for other sectors. So this has an increasing cost, managing biomass, increased biomass, and also the risk of when the produce comes back to the market, an overflow of volumes and the reduction of prices. The EU had a quick response to the COVID-19 pandemic impact. There was a general response, and I will not, get into the details of this response. There's funding that was made available for member states to deal with the mitigation of the impact of the crisis, and also through different means. I will not get into the detail of it. But also it's important to say that the recovery is conceived as something that is green, digital, and resilient. This is what we're looking for: green transition, digital transition, and resilience. In terms of specific support to aquaculture, there were, under the current European Maritime and Fisheries Fund, there was additional measures that were allowed for support under this fund. For example, compensation for reduction of production, reduction of sales, additional storage costs. And this compensation mechanism, in the context of the negotiation of the new fund that is called MFAF, and that's something that we should welcome, because this means that we include aquaculture in the title, so European Maritime and Fisheries and Aquaculture Fund. This is the next fund. We had, in the negotiations, come with also a continuation of a compensation scheme for responding to exceptional events generating a significant disruption of markets, also compensation for economic losses, and compensations for producer organizations for managing storage mechanism in case of crisis. This is about the funding and the measures taken by member states and the EU to mitigate the impacts on the sector. But of course, there are other aspects to this. Well, first of all, the Farm to Fork strategy foresees different actions, and one of them is the development of a contingency plan. This is the case because we realize that the coordination of the response by EU member states in the case of the COVID-19 crisis was not optimal, that there's room for improving this response and room for better coordination. So this contingency plan is something that is expected to be developed by the end of the year. Then we also realize with the different reactions that member states and the sector itself had, that it was very important to count on producer organizations that can make collective efforts to mitigate the impact of crisis, and also to channel the production towards retailers, etc., consumers. Then also the importance of integrated supply chains, to have really an integration across the value chain. And some interesting also experiences with digital tools. Some member states developed a system that allowed consumers to directly get the supply from the producers. In the case of the disruption of distribution and transport, that was very useful. So that was something that was successful in a way. And then also short supply circuits, given the disruption of transport and distribution, that was also something that got a new value. So I think I will stop here. Thank you very much for inviting me to this thematic session, and happy to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorela. It is for your broad presentation, explaining to us about new strategy for aquaculture and also new programming period. And just to mention once again that we, as a thematic steering group or governing board of EUSAIR, put aquaculture as a priority among other priorities as fisheries, blue biotechnologies, and also marine and maritime governance. And we hope that it is going to be embedded in the future programming period. Thank you for explanation about different perspective. For me, it's very interesting for you to mention young generation to be involved, especially to focus on them as consumers, and to pay attention of their preferences. Also aspect of this digitalization, and one is very important is the role of producer organization in context of member states, and for our country, which is not non-member state. We believe we must encourage aquaculture farmers to make association and to put more focus on their problems by making a bigger association. So thank you very much. I prepared here a lot of questions for you, but we are totally running of time, so we don't have time to discuss that. As I said, we prepare a pool, and Milos is going to read some important outcomes of that pool question, and we are coming back for me to conclude with some aspect from your presentation. And first conclusion will be definitely that we need more time for this type of let me say, thematic session, because presentations were very interesting, and I think we need more time to discuss about these issues. So Milos is going to present you and coming back to me for conclusion.
Hello again from my side. It was very interesting to be joining Milena on this session and to learn something more about fisheries, even though not coming from fishery and aquaculture field. I was following the conversation on chat, also pool response, etc. So since we are running out of time, I took out a few the most interesting and let's say hot topics from this pool. It's of course COVID crisis, cooperation among stakeholders, and also impact on what is for all of us very important is environment. So taking into account respondees on our pool, 67 responders agree that cooperation among RDI and other aquaculture stakeholders in the countries is good, while 33% of responders believe that cooperation is negligible. When it comes about COVID impact, 57 responders believe that COVID has a large impact on aquaculture sector, and 38 responders believe that impact on environmental condition status is small, and also 38 responders believe that impact on environmental condition is medium. So I will skip other status on other questions from the pool. You can see it briefly on your right side. As one technical information, and as we had very interesting presentation, they will be shared on our EUSAIR website very soon, so that everyone from the audience can follow up on the presentation and maybe continue cooperation with all speakers from today's session. So that's from my side. Thank you also, and I will give the floor to Milena to close up this very interesting session that I guess following the conclusion will be continued. Thank you.
I hope we have another people also audience still following us, because we are totally running out of time, and that we are not here 6 or 5 days to see my conclusion. This is very soft conclusion. Maybe if we summarize everything what we hear today, we can prepare something better. But for this, we can conclude that major role in improving of aquaculture sector still plays research, development, and innovation sector. And in that regard, we need further strengthening of that sector, and also development of skilled human capital on technology and innovation. We also need better cooperation between research who developed innovative product with public and private sector, as well as farmers, for technology transfer and implementation of achievement in place. I was inspired by Lorella's presentation, and also in that regard, we need know-how transfer between EU and IPA countries to be in better way. We need some more smart marketing strategies that should be adopted in order to better refer to the quality of the final product, the promotion of the industry. We need market research, and also promotion of initiatives on marketing standard and healthy nutritional habits. Also, traceability, certification, and branding of product is very important when we talk about market issues. In order to have a clear and complete picture on aquaculture sector and its need, we must mention that to improve that data collection and dissemination of data from administration to the industry, to enable to industry to increase profitability and also to improve quick response and to adapt to the possible changes. Do everything to make an aquaculture sector more attractive to the young people, to the preferences of young people as consumers, and also to young people we believe that are going to be engaged in the aquaculture and related activities. Speaking about pandemic of COVID, we can agree with our pool that most respondents believe that 57 of pool respondents believe that COVID has a large impact on aquaculture. So in that regard, we need policies, we need advisors in what support to provide to sector in these unpredicted circumstances, as well as possible similar situation in the future to avoid them. In collaboration with scientists and farmers, we need to adopt and implement measures appropriate and to be specific for each region. Also, we need to encourage our farmers to make association and cooperation and producer organization to be bigger than now, and in that way, so they can control management, environmental protection at local level, and also the promotion and disposal of their products. That would be some conclusions from our presentation, but we can make it better lately. And really, thank you from all my heart for your time sharing with us, for your presentation and for your expertise. For me, it is very interesting to hear every of you, to hear that national perspective, to hear what's happening with some important projects and also marketing issues, and from the European Commission to explain to us that regional perspective of challenges, opportunities, and also how to solve the problems. See you for the next forum. I hope the next forum will be, I hope in person we will meet. Slovenia is organizing and is going to be in May of 2021. So we are going to invite you again for the forum, and most likely we are going to discuss for that forum about innovation in blue growth in general. Thank you once again, and see you for the next forum.
Bye.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this session dedicated to Pillar 4, New Trends in Sustainable Tourism. What does the modern tourist want? My name is Narina Kar, and I have the honor to guide you through the session. The tourism sector is one among the most affected by the COVID-19. However, with the government's responses to apply stricter lockdowns necessary to slow down the spread of the virus, it resulted in a huge drop down in passenger transport, restrictions on domestic travel, closing of restaurants and shops, and the introduction of curfews, posing a real challenge to the tourism ecosystem. This is especially dramatic for the countries of the EU strategy, for the Adriatic and Ionian strategy, which is home to some of the most popular destinations in Europe, with its beauty and its rich cultural heritage, as we have just seen, making tourism an important contributor to their economies to stimulate growth and create employment. And an expert study from September 2020 that the Director General for Regional and Urban Policy of the European Commission launched to explore the impact of tourism in the 4 EU macro-regional strategies, findings showed an average decrease of 70% in international tourist arrivals in the EUSAIR countries compared to 2019. So macro-regional strategies, through their governance mechanisms, can become successful platforms to facilitate the tourism recovery, continuity, and process among participating countries. And if you have listened to Norman Poppin's discussion speech during the plenary session of this morning, the cooperation of EUSAIR cannot only recover the sector, but should also be used to develop it further. So in the next 16 to 70 minutes, with the expert insight of our honorable speakers, we want to look at new trends in the tourism sector. We want to look at the needs and expectations of tourists and how to restore their faith to secure and safe travels, from making tourism more sustainable, better connected, and better managed. And at the end of the presentations of our speakers, we will hopefully have enough time for a round of questions and answers via the chat box, and therefore I kindly remind the speakers to respect the time. But before passing the floor, I would like the audience at home to participate in a quick poll. And therefore, I would like to ask our technical supporters to launch the poll of the first question. I cannot see it at the moment. I'm very sorry, but there occurred technical difficulties. I cannot see it. Maybe we will come back to this later then. I apologize for that because of the technical difficulties. Sorry for this. So then I would like to start with our first honorable guest. And without further ado, I pass the floor to State Secretary Tonči Glavina from the Ministry of Tourism and Sport in Croatia for his opening remarks. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. How's everybody doing? Okay. Dear colleagues, dear organizers, honorable speakers, dear EUSAIR members, dear guests. Allow me to greet you at the 5th EUSAIR Forum, the Pillar 4 Sustainable Tourism session on the topic of new trends in sustainable tourism. What does the modern tourist want? It is rather challenging to speak of the new trends in sustainable tourism and the needs of a modern traveler, while we are still in a time of pandemic. But as strange as it may seem, people are still traveling, more cautious, and not as much as before, but they still are, and we want them back on track. So let us not forget the data before the pandemic relating to EUSAIR countries. These data reminds us that EUSAIR countries received in 2019, the last successful year before pandemic, some 140 million tourism arrivals. All EUSAIR countries received about 92 billion from tourism, receipts ranging from $1 billion to $50 billion per country. And then happened the 2020 decline of an average of 70%. Certainly, it was a shock for all. Now, everyone wants to know, what will the post-pandemic world look like? Who shall we work with? What will be the shape of post-pandemic tourism? What will the modern tourist want? Do we know it? Can we predict it? How to think about it in the future? EUSAIR thematic steering group 4 pillar priorities points the focus towards these important perspectives. The tourist consumer's perspective, diversification of their needs, of destinations and authentic resources. The industry perspective, possible responses and innovation in restructuring our products, shaping strong SMEs and networks and offers. the employment and professional development perspective, innovation in education. The consumer's traveler perspective tells us that visitors were perceived as the lifeblood of the tourism economy, but have almost disappeared in 2020, forcing European destinations to rethink the key questions. Who travels still and why? Who will be traveling in the future? And some of the answers came back through numerous research that has been done. So it's definite that people still want to travel. People are looking for new models of travel, on the road, by bike, by train, slow. People are looking for safe places, close to home, authentic, local, outdoors, unexplored, connected in routes. What are we expecting to hear from you today is to get to know who is traveling and will be traveling. Can we count on the new pioneers, brave adventurers, the solo travelers, or on the close family circle travelers, digital nomads, or women travelers, explorers searching for authenticity, culture seekers, perhaps? How will they travel and why? The road trip revival is being mentioned as a new hit. Can the purposeful travel and authentic travel be a driver of change? Should we look upon the new pilgrims, silence-driven, looking for transformation? Can we offer authentic and exclusive design of private retreats for families? Or the new undiscovered escape culture routes for bikers? How can we attract respectful and responsible new travelers looking for secluded luxury? Secondly, let us see what is the industry response as the destination response to this critical moment of change. Can we still speak of tourism as an industry? Over-tourism definitely is out, and small, sustainable, safe destinations are in. Quality proves to be back again over quantity. Safety and security over hyper-consumerism. Destinations are going through a permanent change, adapting to big change for small communities. How can we provide destinations management to planning to bring the right solutions, to offer personalization, diversification, distancing, flexibility, affordable luxury, real-time info? What are the changes going on at the source markets? What are changing consumer segments, business models, and alternative revenue streams? What are the new strategies being explored that are going to ensure survival? And the final crucial tourism perspective is needed. Improving the profession for the employments and companies' recovery. Research will be crucial if we want to master this change. Data analytics combined with knowledge sharing can provide adjustment to changes through new employment models, new professions, and skills that are needed. Owing to that, we shall know what the new education and training models should be developed to respond to consumer needs, to the modern tourist. New professions are already being born. Outdoor diversifier, experimental pilgrim designer, interpret trailblazer, traditional culture experience tracker, travel mood master, etc., etc. Not to mention the hybrid needs of professions in the multidimensional destination models of fully specialized SME services for innovation-driven special interest forms of tourism. We do hope that the session will give the answers to these questions in line with the sustainable and responsible tourism perspective, because new rules and new humanization is on the verge. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, allow me to express gratitude to all of you involved in this panel, especially European Commission, and all of you who will open an insight into the future waiting for us all. I wish you all a successful session.
Thank you very much, State Secretary Glavina, and I can only thank you also for your participation today to stay with us until the concluding remarks. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I think the technical issues might have been solved. So I would like, again, our participants to take part in the poll. So please to launch the question. It has already started, I see. So the question we wanted to know from our participants is, what is important for the tourism recovery, in your opinion? So we have, as options, we have, of course, closer cooperation. And I like to see that 32% are thinking that this is one of the key aspects for the tourism recovery, because I think the macro-regional strategies and the EUSAIR in this respect is a main contributor to this and has the real support perspective to the tourism recovery. But of course, as the second most chosen answer is EU funding, indeed, this will be a crucial fact. And this brings me to our next speaker. My colleague Ramune Gensbigelite-Venturi from the European Commission. She works in the Directorate General for Internal Market, Industry, Entrepreneurship, and SMEs. so the penholder of tourism policy. And she will provide us with the EU perspective on how tourism can recover, the support the EU has mobilized, and how to turn this challenge into an opportunity to restart the sector. Ramona, please.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. This is a very timely discussion on the trends for the future. We have to reflect beyond the current crisis, of course, what is awaiting for us and how to adapt to the new trends. I would like to nevertheless highlight a few objectives at the EU level that we foresee for the coming years, and also some trends that we see that are lying in the coming months, in the short term, but also in the long term. I hope you can see the slides.
Yes, we can.
Yes, okay. Indeed, I don't want to repeat it. Everybody knows that tourism ecosystem is facing enormous challenges. If we compare to the other services ecosystem in Europe, which face around 16% of fall in the turnover, tourism ecosystem is facing over 70% of turnover fall, which is by far the highest impact by the crisis. And we see here, of course, that the business confidence is at the very bottom for tourism ecosystem, with the winter season that is lost and the perspectives that we have in the spring with the pandemic still ongoing in the world. Many estimate that it will take from 2 to 4 years for the full recovery to the 2019 levels. What are priorities at the EU level in the short term? So, of course, crisis management remains very important for us. We want to build confidence, both for business and for the citizens to travel again, because this goes hand in hand. Safe travel, well, the confidence for business and tourists. We have started this since May with our communication to try to harmonize the approach with the safety protocols, hygiene for tourism and establishments and for the transport. And we believe this has helped to some extent to build the confidence for the people to travel and for the business to reopen. We have worked with the member states since the very beginning to improve the use of common criteria and the exchange of essential data that is necessary to address public health and travel issues. We are providing real-time information to the citizens based on the member states' input. We have an application now, a mobile application. Before it was a web platform, Reopen EU, that is functioning very well. But of course, we're relying on the timely data submitted by the countries involved. We are regularly monitoring the crisis impacts with the networks that we have with the stakeholders, with the regions, and we are launching different surveys to feel the sentiment of the traveler, which is very important to predict what would happen in the coming months. Above all, of course, we are trying to protect the businesses and jobs through the unprecedented financial assistance that we have launched at the EU level. Now, long-term priorities are, of course, in line with the green and digital transition, like for all industries and for all sectors. We wish to see the recovery that is both economically and socially resilient. We want to see the greening of the tourism and achieving fully sustainable travel. We want to see digital transformation, innovation, and data, because digital technologies and data will not only enhance tourism offer and enable new business models based on market intelligence, but will also improve the sustainability and resilience of ecosystems. Through the smart management of the flows and, of course, the better resources for the management itself. We are looking to build the skills through the European Skills Agenda and the EU Pact for the workers in tourism, which has to be naturally adapted to the future challenges and driving the transition itself. This is a very important pillar for us. And we want to keep up with the global competition that is more and more demanding by ensuring that EU tourism is built on a sustainable and quality basis. So it is a destination that is sustainable, sustainably attractive. And we have started a dialogue on the roadmap how to come to this future we call it European Agenda for Tourism 2050. This has started at the European Tourism Convention last October, where we have achieved some shared common goals with the stakeholders, with the member states, and also some key actions have emerged. Now, this is just for the reference to give you a picture of all the financial initiatives that tourism can benefit from. I will not stay here too long, it's just to give you an overview. Now, the travel sentiment in the coming months. We have been doing the surveys with the European Travel Commission, and I have picked up a few references also from other surveys carried out by TripAdvisor, for example. First of all, as the previous speaker has mentioned, people want to travel. This will certainly remain, and it seems that the planning will be more than ever careful. So people that are searching on online platforms, they are spending more time and dedicating more effort to choose really well this, the coming holidays, hopefully in the summer. But of course, there is an issue of reduced disposable income. Trust and peace of mind, in other words, safety is the most important concern. Therefore, I think what EU has prepared and keeps on insisting on the coordinated approach on safety protocols is going to pay off, and it's going to be still important in the coming months and probably years. We still see that intra-European travel between the European countries is prevailing in the plans of the travelers, but also domestic travel, so staying within the country and traveling between the regions. Of course, international travel will take some more time to pick up. This is natural for the well-known reasons. And it's true that countries that rely on the international travel mostly will have some more difficulties because they cannot compensate the domestic travel, the income. Now, the trends that will be transforming tourism have been accelerated by the pandemic. They are interrelated, and I think that has to be reflected very well, not only in the strategies that are being prepared by the destinations, but also by the businesses to be foreseen. We have to keep in mind, of course, the aspirations of the young generations, because in the end of the day, these will be the people who will be driving the market. They are more digitally equipped. They aim for carbon neutral holidays, for unique experiences and closer links with the local communities. The trends that have been accelerated by the COVID, we already see with the discussions with the destinations, with the member states and the industry, that naturally digitalization has been reinforced as a trend. Safety, transformation, eco-awareness, nature holidays have been quite important in the past months. So yes, innovation and digitalization surely will remain as one of the key trends because travelers, first of all, are increasingly using the technology solutions such as social media, touchless technologies, virtual, augmented reality, and naturally the businesses are adapting also to this new reality. Another trend, flexible working arrangements, is foreseen to prevail in the coming years, probably. So such issues as cybersecurity will be very important to address, and also for some destinations to adapt to this new trend, probably welcoming the digital nomads, people who can work from other places other than their home. Linked to the digitalization trend, the expectations for health and safety, as well as seamless experience, will be very important to consider. The online platforms, reduced physical interactions, contactless payments, and other services are showing already the pickup in the market. Carbon neutral travel is another key trend that we are certain will prevail, and we see already destinations planning on that. Of course, we are more aware, the consumers, the travelers, they're more aware of the travel impacts, the choices that they make. They prefer slow travel and will continue so, especially if we speak about the younger generations. but not only, families as well, nature experience. And we see emerging different new destinations already that are asking themselves how to cope with the big unexpected flow of the tourists. Also connection with the local communities is very much on the demand. The authentic experiences here are important, and tailored unique experiences as such should create some niche markets in the future. So these and many other emerging trends are interlinked. They should be reflected in the business models and the strategies of the destinations, and should be taken into account when investing in skills and the new talents to be attracted. What is needed is, of course, the flexibility that the industry and destinations have acquired during this pandemic. So we believe it's important to keep it, which is something positive that has emerged, and the sense of urgency to adapt to the upcoming trends. And of course, the cooperation will play a very important role in this respect. We believe that looking for new products across the regions will be important. Also, data sharing across the regions, travel intelligence will be another element to explore. I don't want to take more time. I would like to hear more input from the speakers. Thank you very much, and I'm here to answer your questions as well.
Thank you very much, Ramune. So as we have heard, it might take 2 to 4 years to go back to 2019 numbers, which also gives the chance to accommodate new trends. So we have heard innovation and digitization will be very important, also linked to flexible working arrangements for digital nomads, who might then also discover destinations outside the high season periods. Climate-friendly holidays are on the rise, and people would like to make a link to the local community to get better in touch with the destination. Our next speaker is Ms. Flaminia Santarelli, who I warmly welcome. She will be giving us a keynote address. And Ms. Santarelli is a real expert in tourism and currently the Director General at the Ministry of Cultural Heritage and Tourism in Italy, with experience in tourism promotion, marketing, and valorization of cultural heritage. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Nadine. Good afternoon, colleagues. It's a great pleasure and an honor for me to be here today. My keynote address is about new customer trends with an eye on how we can limit the damage caused by the pandemic in order to build back better tourism. Let's begin, please, with the slide. Can we share this slide, please? My presentation. And so I'm continuing. Actually, this is also the focus of the next G20 tourism. Thank you. Of the next G20 tourism under the Italian presidency, where we have decided that the agendas of all members will continue to be focused on the COVID-19 crisis and on the policies needed to ensure a sustainable and resilient recovery and travel on tourism. Please, the next one. No, the slide before. Thank you. Yes. Well, this said, what will happen with tourism for the rest of 2021? What are the changes in consumer, traveler, and entrepreneur behavior as the result of COVID-19 outbreak? Let's go on a short journey in 3 famous Italian cities of art to see the before and after of the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you. Who doesn't know Venice? In the not so distant 2019, on your left, you can see a picture of the Rialto Bridge and how crowded Venice was. In the 2020, the picture at the center with this demoticon that is the deserted St. Mark Square. The next one, please. Florence. Thank you. Florence, another city of art. As you know, the Italian vision for tourism is based on the combination of culture and tourism, and the cities of art, such as Florence, are the very fabric of our cultural identity. Let's see what's happened here. In 2019, we had queues in Piazza del Duomo and happy crowds at the Uffizi and in Piazza della Signoria. In 2020, in the center, yes, just one, but rather iconic picture, an empty Ponte Vecchio bridge. To make it clear, mass tourism was at a tipping point and it was a problem. Today, our strategy is to convert the setbacks of the pandemic into an opportunity to make tourism in urban areas more socially sustainable and planet-friendly. The next one, please, Rome. And here we also have pictures from 2019 and 2020. First photo on the left, you see an area close to St. Peter's Square, a must-see place in Rome, epic, but normally overcrowded. And again, some old story with the Trevi Fountain and Colosseum. And then we have the infamous 2020. You see at the Spanish Steps, definitely the most crowded monument of the Eternal City, but now sadly deserted and with no people around. The next slide, please. A few numbers just to confirm that it was an annus horribilis. The 2020 tourism statistics for Italy show negative trends in all areas. Here is the balance of airport flows for Italy, Spain, and France in 2020, and it's clearly a negative picture. So far, the official data highlight a generalized negative situation in both northern and southern Italy, in seaside and mountain resorts alike, and most of all in cities of art. We must act now if we want to make EU's tourism future ready and more resilient to the present and future crisis. The next one, please. What the pandemic has taught us. We have no best practices to share because we are still in learning mode. However, there is some evidence we can share. In 2020, tourists have chosen slow and green destinations, as well as alternative routes to big major destinations, both because they are perceived as more COVID-19 proof and because are considered to be better for their social and environmental sustainability. People are still willing to travel, but their behavior has changed and have chosen destinations closer to their place of residence, have given preference to little known and less crowded destinations, such as rural villages and farm stays, have booked a vacation rental because it's plant-friendly, have spent longer time on holiday thanks to smart working, have opted for outdoor activities and for more authentic experiences because they are tired of the tourism for tourists. It's evident sustainable tourism is the new normal. The final slide, please. This is an outlook of the many measures that we are implementing to support and modernize the tourism sector in Italy. We have considered the long and short-term implications of the COVID-19 crisis to deliver the best possible recovery and resilience plan and make use of other national and EU funds. Finally, last but not least, tourism survival depends on establishing a common EU approach on the free movement of persons, quarantines, travel restrictions, and health protocols. This is the only way, in our opinion, to restoring travel confidence and bring guests back to travel hospitality establishment. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much for this presentation, Ms. Santarelli. Now I would like to start to open the panel discussion. And for this reason, I warmly welcome our first speaker. Ms. Panagiota Dionysopoulou is Director General for Tourism Policy in the Ministry of Tourism in Greece, who holds a PhD in European Economics and Policy in Tourism. Her presentation will focus on the importance of well-managed tourism destinations, not only to manage tourism flows in a smart way, but also to monitor the expectations of consumers regarding safety, health, and tourism products.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadine. Dear organizers, dear guests, it's my pleasure to participate in the 5th EUSAIR Forum. So I'd like to show my presentation. It's okay? It's okay?
No, I cannot see it, unfortunately.
Yes, it's okay.
It's okay? Okay.
I see you.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. So, the pandemic offers an opportunity to rethink the tourism system, as tourism stakeholders need to adapt to a new reality in such a brief time span. Discussions in international forums, such as the European Tourism Convention and the OECD Tourism Committee, both held in October, put forward urgent policy priorities and challenges in the COVID era at destination level. To ensure, to ensure the smart management of tourism flows, to focus on quality rather than volume, to develop data monitoring systems to drive product orientation based on greening and sustainability. Our strategic goals as the Ministry of Tourism in Greece: we have sustainable tourism development, diversification of tourism products and improvement of competitiveness, enhancement of human resources, redesigning and rebranding the tourism product and image. So, rethinking the tourism ecosystem, policy priorities in the post-COVID era at destination level refer to see the management of tourist flows and to specify not to volume but to quality of the destinations, to focus on quality and to develop data monitoring systems to drive product orientation based on greening and sustainability. The Ministry of Tourism will shortly present a new legislative framework on the establishment of DMOs at the local and regional level. Competitiveness. The DMOs will offer support to local and regional administrators for the effective implementation of tourism policy within the frameworks of the strategic plan for sustainable tourism development. Promotion of the destination brand and market research are core competencies of the organizations. Networking, clustering, the DMOs will collaborate with professional associations, public institutions, and businesses clusters to safeguard the quality of the services offered. Standard integrated tourism management destinations, specific destinations which contribute essentially to the country's brand name, will be nominated as standard integrated tourism management destinations. They will be selected upon criteria related to their international visibility, carrying capacity, natural and cultural resources, and sustainability. Reporting. The DMOs will report on an annual basis to the Ministry of Tourism regarding the destination's current situation based on qualitative and quantitative data, the implementation of the strategic plan, providing proposals for upgrading the overall tourism product. The DMO strategic planning focuses on 4 main points. Firstly, DMOs, through an integrated policy-making process that focuses on the development of clusters of local and regional authorities and the creation of synergies between the public and private sector, will promote in a coordinated way the goals of sustainability and sustainable development. Secondly, the DMOs will play a key role to the promotion of specific tourism products at a local and regional level that guarantee a minimal environmental footprint. Thirdly, emphasis will be given to the promotion of green and sustainable practices within the tourism business sector that not only contribute to the objective of sustainability, but can attract customers that value environmentally friendly businesses. Last but not least, particular focus will be given on the promotion of local and regional key thematic sectors that create a unique identity for the destination, differentiate it from its competitors, and enhance its competitiveness in the international tourism market. Tourism should be developed on the basis of its spatial dimension with the objective to develop an integrated tourism product that extends beyond the restrictive borders of the region. For each destination, we should evaluate the natural and cultural resources to highlight the comparative advantages of the destination. Special interest tourism products have to be developed for each destination upon the evaluation of its resources and unique characteristics. Priority should be given to activities linked to the comparative advantages of the destination and the development of complementary activities. The sustainable tourism observatories at local, regional level, the aim is the evidence-based policies driven by research, an annual monitoring and evaluation with focused data monitored per thematic product. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think we have heard now already a couple of times that data will, or is already and will become more and more important in the future to exchange information on tourism flows, but also to manage the product that tourists get more information to the next, and the travel restrictions. Tourism destinations have turned to virtual reality to keep interest and maybe prepare for them underexplored in the tourism industry, according to our next panelist, Almir Pestek from Bosnia and Herzegovina. He researches on marketing, digital marketing, and tourism at the School of Economics and Business in Sarajevo, and will explain why the use of virtual reality is an opportunity for sustainable tourism, especially now. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Nadine. Good afternoon. I'm happy to be with you today. I will talk about virtual reality and sustainable tourism. I'm glad that many speakers before mentioned digital transformation, innovation, and stuff like that, which is closely connected with my topic. So let me share my screen. I hope you can see it. Okay, so let's start talking about virtual reality and sustainable tourism. I mean, tourism is a digital industry. It's a sector that is highly information intensive, and because of COVID pandemic, I mean, we were faced with different challenges, and the technology actually can improve the situation in terms of recovery, but will also set some standards for new normal that will have a big impact on consumer behavior in the future and behavior and response of tourism related businesses. So what is actually virtual travel? Virtual travel is nothing but as a complementary to conventional tourism. And actually virtual travel enables tourists to feel destination without the need to actually visit it. Virtual reality is just a tool that it's a part of virtual travel among augmented reality, extended reality. Virtual reality actually offers the potential to create substitute and interactive experiences that may be useful for heritage and threatened sites preservation, and for destinations where sightseeing increases the risk of damage through human exploitation. We could see what can over tourism can cause for local communities and for environment. And actually, when it comes to sustainable tourism, I mean, we have to ask ourselves what tourism development is, what sustainable tourism development is. My experience from my country actually shows that when it comes to tourism development, we are mostly focused on economic outcomes of tourism-related activities, not on social or environmental ones. So there is a huge pressure on society and environment by tourism, by tourists, and virtual reality actually can help a lot in order to decrease that level of pressure and to introduce some new ways of consumption of tourism products and tourism destinations. Actually, virtual reality is becoming more mainstream, but according to some surveys I have conducted with my colleagues here, I mean, those studies actually indicate that virtual reality as a trend in the tourism industry still needs significant work and improvement. Actually, virtual reality can be considered nothing but as a niche among all those tourism activities, or even virtual reality activities in total. Actually, virtual reality, let's call it telepresence, allowed the user to experience the feeling of being there and captures tourism destinations in a memorable and immersive way. The primary benefit of virtual reality in tourism and travel industry is to actually provide a kind of try before you buy option. And virtual reality can cause some strong emotions more convincingly than just viewing images or reading custom reviews that can achieve. Actually, virtual reality positively influences tourism decision-making processes, and virtual reality can be considered and used as a strong promotional instrument. Actually, virtual reality significantly shortens the process of researching and seeking information, which is a very complicated phase for tourists, and it actually has a greater impact on increasing visitor intention than traditional media at relatively small costs. What is also very important to mention when it comes to virtual reality is that people with disabilities may go also for virtual traveling, especially if environment is not friendly for disabled people. So virtual reality can increase the probability and access to destinations to many segments. When it comes to some figures about virtual reality, virtual tourism, actually, virtual tourism remains a comparatively small niche. It actually takes not more than 12% of share of the overall virtual reality market, according to some estimations related to year 2022. And according to Statista, for example, according to their surveys, 20% of travel brands will be actually investing in virtual reality in the future. This survey was conducted in 2019 in pre-COVID era. What is actually virtual reality and how it works? What are possible ways of application? I would like to demonstrate just a few of them, just to get a glimpse of it, and to see how we can use it in order to make that pressure, as I said before, on environment and society lesser. So this is a very good example of Estonian National Museum. This application actually allows us to make a tour through museum without being there. La Garma, Spain, is a cave which is very interesting, but in last 16,000 years, only 50 people were there. So thanks to virtual reality, thanks to technology, we are able to see it. And without it, we wouldn't be able to feel it, you know, to get some specific, very immersive experience of it. So you can see those examples here. Of course, in order to use all those tools related to virtual reality, you have to employ some equipment. But thanks to recent technological developments, that equipment is getting getting cheaper and cheaper and more affordable for many people. So La Garma is a good example how to employ technology and how to preserve that cave, which is very specific. The Blue is a great application, interactive application. This is one of pioneers in this area. Actually, you play a game here. You know, you are trying to save blue whales. So very interesting application. You know, and as I said, it was one of the first in this field. NASA, for example, allow us to explore Mars. I mean, to make a walk around, to do a survey, you know, to do some sightseeing there, you know, using virtual reality applications. British Museum is conducting a very interesting project now, which is called African Rock Art Project, which is also about digitalization of the area of Africa, actually, and some very specific areas there. There are many companies that actually provide us with solutions, some let's say software and all technical solutions in order to make your destination or your brand virtual. I just mentioned a company Escape. You can pay a visit to their website and to see what they do and how they approach everything. You know, you can see also some examples of some 360 tours, virtual tours, which are very interesting. And you can see that some brands, some brands that they cooperate with Thomas Cook. Unfortunately, they are not active anymore, but they had the cooperation with them. Let me give you examples related to my country. Digiba is an association that deals with digitalization of cultural heritage, and they completed a project recently, which is very interesting. It's Bitka na Neretvi. It's actually Battle of Neretva, one of the most famous battles in the Second World War that took place in Bosnia. So in cooperation with the local museum there, they actually created virtual reality application that actually allows you to play a game, you know, to be a position of a soldier in the Second World War and to complete some task. You can see a team of those people who took part in the project. Another interesting project I'd like to mention, and it's also completed by Digiba, is about Roman heritage, which is about digitalization of Roman heritage in the Balkans, in particular 4 countries: Bosnia, Serbia, Albania, and Montenegro. So thanks to support of Association for Promotion of Italian Culture, they did this project, you know, and you can use it from your desktop or mobile phones. So I just wanted to make a set of those examples just to show you that from your home you can explore some very interesting and some, let me say, remote places without being there, you know. So you will get some very unique and different experience that will actually help you to understand what's the local offer is, how everything is going there, you know, and to actually to provoke you to start thinking about paying visit to those destinations and attraction. But on the contrary, actually, thanks to digital technology, we don't have to be present there, and we will actually not make any pressure on environment and society, as we could see in previous examples. So actually, the conclusion, virtual reality makes the relations between individuals and tourist space more complex, thanks to technology. Tourist experience will increasingly become a mixture of reality and virtual reality in the future, which is in line with all those trends that were mentioned in previous presentations related to digital transformation and innovation. We have to take in consideration the habits of new generations. Firstly, Generation Z, digital native people, you know, all those youngsters now who actually have different needs, not only in tourism, but in many other sectors. So through creation of various types of simulators for virtual experience, potential tourists are able to experience a destination and make a less pressure on environment, as I said. And I have to say that virtual reality seems to promote tourism rather than discourage it. So virtual reality will be let's say, a new normal in the future of tourism. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for this very interesting presentation. And I could see in the chat box that it caused quite some reactions, and some people might still be alien to the virtual reality, but I think it is indeed a complementary tool that can also promote sustainability, interactive advertising for destinations, and also more inclusion. And before introducing the next speaker, I would please like to remind you of the timekeeping, because we are running a bit late. But with no further ado, I would like to introduce Riccardo Benetti from Bella Bocca from Montenegro. He has joined us for the reason to tell us more about sustainable tourism in the linking to the transport sector, because of course we have to make sure that the people traveling from A to B leave a green footprint and have a reduction on greenhouse gas emissions. So he will present the best practice linking tourism and sustainable water transport. Please, the floor is yours.
All it's clear?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Riccardo Bonetti. I am the project manager of Bella Bocca. I did in this workshop to share my experience in working with tourism and environment in Montenegro. I go straight for. In case you need further information, please do not hesitate to contact me. Policies, programs, and projects aimed at accelerating the shift to a sustainable and smart mobility are crucial topics to work with. Aligned here. Steer on green mobility solution aimed at protecting the environment while preserving the ecosystem developed in Kotor Bay should be regarded as the cornerstones of each national strategy. These topics have to be integrated into COVID recovery plan to relaunch a sector like the one of tourism, strongly damaged by COVID. This will allow to relaunch domestic and international tourism and at the same time try to repair the economic and social damages brought by COVID. The water sustainable transport was designed having in mind a clear objective: protect Kotor Bay from the growing rate of GHG emission and at the same time reinvent a new approach to live the historical beauty and tradition of the area, using electric or hybrid catamarans to ease the movements around the bay, avoiding engorging roads and growing CO2 and black carbon emissions. After 2 years from the pilot phase, including 1 year of standby due to COVID restriction, we are still firmly engaged in promoting this mobility solution as an instrument able to help Montenegro reduce emissions, aligned with the NDC ambitions, while fostering a new form of tourist package based on the promotion of renewable energy, energy efficiency, environmental and cultural safeguards. Cross-cutting benefit from the project can be the following: cut GHG emission in the transport sector, guarantee Montenegro's transition, promote an eco-friendly transport system, respect nature, diversity conservation of the protected area, create a pilot project in a pilot area. Furthermore, it can support Montenegro in reducing greenhouse gases emission by 30% by 2030 against the baseline year of 1990, protecting water quality, safeguard protected areas. One moment. The project level we have been translated into a concrete action. The first, promotion of renewable energy and energy efficiency. We have Elettra, a fully electric trimaran powered with battery and solar panels. And we have Graciana, a hybrid trimaran, these two boats linking Kotor, Perast, Tivat, and Herceg-Novi. Second, environmental and cultural safeguard. We have a clean boat, fully electric, aimed at cleaning the sea to protect the marine biodiversity. In 2 months, with the 2 boats, Elettra and Graciana, during the pilot project part, more than 5,000 passengers selected this transport mode. When fully implemented, the water sustainable transport can move 500,000 persons or passengers yearly and emitting the same volume of CO2 as 500 persons using car or 1,300 persons using bus. With water sustainable transport project, we care the environment, but we would like to use the boats to promote as well as safe, sustainable to live a touristic experience in Montenegro, using its smart solution to plan better. The project is still in the pilot phase. Summer 2020 was challenging due to COVID restriction. However, COVID demonstrated on working with client smart solution to increase the resilience of each state. We are planning to restart working from April 2021 to ease the sustainable transport in Kotobai and attract new visitors. We are working with local authorities to promote this modal shift within the country as well as in a night-going ones as a way to increase the ambitions towards low carbon solution and a more sustainable tourism. Now a video will show you the main features of the project.
Bonetti, sorry to interrupt, but I think for time reasons we would have to please leave that for the participants for later time, or to include the link for the video in the chat box. I'm very sorry about that, but we're running a bit behind schedule.
Okay.
Sorry for that, I apologize. So I thank Mr. Bonetti for his presentation. And our next speaker is Elton Kaushi. I hope I pronounced the name correctly. He is a real travel enthusiast and made his passion to a profession, becoming the founder and owner of Albanian Trip, the agency to not only help people organize, tourists organizing their trips, but also to advise them when coming to his beautiful homeland. So with his experience, he will be able to shed more light into whether people are traveling to connect with the country and the local community, and why slow tourism is a trend not to be missed in the future. Please, Elton.
Many thanks, Nadine. Thanks for your effort to pronounce my name correctly. That's not easy, I know that. I don't know if you can see, if you can hear me.
I hear you perfectly. Okay, and
wonderful.
Yes.
Well, hello, good evening from sunny, cold Tirana, actually. Thank you so much for the invitation here. This is great, a wonderful panel, wonderful job with the presentations and everything. Well, I will very modestly add some elements to a lot of the things that the previous colleagues told about, actually. Well, this is a small talk from a country where one of the, let's say, most important articles from the local traditional law answers to the demand of a guest trying to go inside the house. Yes, please come in, and we say bread, salt, and a warm heart. And well, I chose that expression in order to try to illustrate a little bit symbolically what is expected to come from us, and what we have very deep in our DNA, let's say, not just in Albania, but I think we, in this part of the Ionian and Adriatic shores, we all share those values and approaches into how to welcome a guest. Well, I will just go very briefly on this because I think it was already touched. Well, what is the case with the offer to the visitors in the last, let's say, 2 decades, since when Albania is trying to enter the European and Mediterranean tourism map, is in our case, a lot of originality, very unexplored shore, something very, very traditional and very, very, let's say, far from the crowds. Miss Santarelli was showing us those pictures from Venice and Florence. And I need to tell you that that was our dream. Let's say that not more than 12 or 13 years ago, we were dreaming of crowds. And well, Albania made its way into, let's say, the minds and the hearts of the visitors in the last years. And we started to have, let's say, 5 or 4 years ago, we started to have the very first crowded destinations in the country. And we understood that this was not the fulfilling of the dreams that we used to have, actually. And I think a lot of the trends that we are looking for in the eventual post-pandemic period or era, which we all hope to come very soon, are not new to the world and to our sectors, let's say. We know that it was very fashionable and there was a lot of demand from visitors in order to have authentic experiences, low carbon destinations, I think the trend will only multiply and will only become important for the world now in the post-pandemic. Did we learn things about what happened previously and what is happening right now? I think we did. I think it's been a while since visitors and partner tour operators from the western part of the world, North America, are asking us for what they call hands-on experiences. Hands-on experiences where people come and join the local communities and share their histories and where they learn each other. You know how trendy, how fashionable are cooking classes recently. You all know better than us here in Albania. How will have things gone through the COVID area and how will things go in the post-COVID area? These are a lot. I doubt anybody has a very fixed answers to that. But I can notice, and I have a good news to share actually, that since the vaccination started in the UK almost a month ago, we have started to understand that people are itching to travel, and it seems like we are going towards a new opening, and certainly there is a lot of demand and interest. So I think we will very fast go back to having visitors again in our region, let's say. But how shall we behave with that? Well, I don't think we will make a huge revolution here. I think that we will need to just look back at our tradition, look back at our destinations, and try to implement, let's say, some of the innovative tools like these virtual reality or some other politics into how dealing with the new times. But we will need to know that the problems will not end there, and for sure we will be far from being satisfied and from being happy with the future situation. I think this is going to be a constant challenge, and there will be things to change and to improve all the time. But anyway, like it seems like there will be room for less crowded spaces, less touristy areas, and more about the experiences. The experiences they are very much in demand now. Small family, small groups, small friend groups, tourism will be trending really fast, and for sure there will be need for people to come and have some educational experiences. I have seen in our experience in the tour operator I'm working for how much people are willing to what somebody called do-gooding. They want to come and they want to visit, they want to experience, relax, enjoy, but also they love to do something to repay the destination for that. So many times people have asked us for a school in a rural area where they can do some help, they can bring something to improve the situation, and this is great. And I believe that in the Albanian kind of economical situation, but also in some more prosperous kinds of situations, I think there will always be room for the offer to be enriched with this kind of elements. Very probably there will be need for more creativity, and it's great to see this virtual reality coming in. I find this very creative. I really hope Mr. Elon Musk will not bring us out of the market and not convert the whole travel sector into a virtual one, but for sure virtuality will help a lot. I love to take this picture actually and to try to compare. I hope I don't sound too pathetic, but I think that in the future we will need to focus on this. I think there will be need for the visitors to act just like a butterfly, to come and feed on a flower, but there will be need for the flower to get the help of the visitor into prospering and into multiplying. You know how it works eventually in nature with that thing. The insects go and take the pollen from the flowers and help them multiply. Nature of course will be a great thing. Rural experiences, authentic experiences. Well, I don't think there is little interest in the calculation of the footprint, and our Italian colleague with a project in Montenegro. This is an amazing thing. I hope this kind of initiatives will multiply and will be more available to all of us. This is absolutely great, innovative elements, and I think that we in the Adriatic Ionian region are not the only ones in the world which are worrying about the future of tourism. I think there will be a lot of competition, and I believe the approach in the future needs to be more regional, and I think we will compete with the Scandinavians, we will compete with the beautiful Asian destinations, with a lot of Latin American destinations. So we will not be alone. I think it will be great for us to have events of this kind, and thank you so much for organizing this. I really hope that we will just act together into this. Well, coming from the Mediterranean.
Concluding remarks, please, Aidan. Sorry, I have to interrupt.
Pardon?
Concluding remarks, please. I have to ask you to come to the end of your...
I'm done. Just so many thanks for everything. Just a small reminder of the Mediterranean region, Adriatic Ionian. We've gone through very difficult periods in our lives, and I believe this is one of the many, and for sure we'll manage to survive. It's important for us to come out of this as friends, as a group, and as a happy part of the world. Thank you so much, and we'll in Albania next time.
Thank you very much for your presentation, a very passionate one, I think. I will go on immediately to Ms. Gordana Plemenac from the Danube Competence Center in Serbia. She will portray the future traveler of the EUSAIR by matching her expertise from the Danube region and by explaining why marketing plays a central role. And I would kindly ask you to share the presentation yourself, and please keep the timing. We are already delayed. Thank you very much.
I will try not to be passionate as my Albanian colleague, usually I am, but what I wanted to say, and it was said already, a lot of these facts and figures by previous speakers, based on different studies that were conducted, headed by the study of the World Tourism Organization. They say that tourism recovery will not come earlier than in the period of 2 to 3 years, which means 2024. Slowly, we will have to get prepared for that. Last year was sitting at home, shut down, virtual reality was our travel. Also, staycation was another way of travel and getting to know your own destination, which we somehow always put down, saying, okay, there is time, everything is so close, we don't need to do that. Anyhow, from staycation in this year, we can jump to regional travel. And what does this new traveler expect? It is hard to draw the wishes and expectations of a new traveler. But something what is factually evident is that they all expect standardized safety and hygiene regulations. When we come to the point where all of us from the region should somehow coincide all of this with, of course, the support of European Commission or European institutions. Secondly, these hygiene and safety regulations and standards are expected in all accommodation places, in restaurants, in transportation vehicles, everywhere. So we should stand ready to match this. In addition, it is important to point out that we expect to have travelers or tourists traveling in smaller groups. They will still use ground transportation, which means cars, bicycles, and similar bikes, for instance. So we should also be prepared to render services in smaller apartment houses or apartments, more than hotels. This has totally changed the profile of our services as well as the tourists who are going to visit us. What we also need to bear in mind is that all these trips will be related mostly to nature-related holidays, maybe shorter, as well as to visits of cultural heritage sites. In other words, outdoors. So this is something what gives us the opportunity to create new tourism products which will actually add value to our destination, to see what is sometimes being neglected or forgotten in offering producing our tourism offer. Another important issue is communication. Communication should be formulated into very clear, accurate, and updated messages to the travelers. And this is important because the tourists do not want to anticipate or suspect what are they going to have there. This means that virtual reality comes to the stage. They all prepare their trips by virtually visiting all these places that they want to see in real. A study says that tourists from India, by 70%, want detailed virtual reality presentation of all services that they are going to have on their trip, starting from check-in counter, if they take a flight, with border pass, their seat on the plane, their arrival hall, their accommodation place, and so on. That means that the new thing, which is this digitalized customer ID card, will be something where everybody will be using for their travel. So you will have the app installed in your mobile phone, which will have all these contents information which they will be using, which means custom services, flights, and so on and so forth. Open data is the future. Well, I think that I mentioned everything what I planned for the first segment of my speech. The second is related to the Danube. We are Danube Competence Center. We exist 11 years. Resembling and following us, Baltic Strategy founded their own competence center, as well as Mekong Strategy. We try to bring together all Danube countries and beyond to develop, promote, create new products and involve stakeholders, both from public and private sector, to work together. When my dear colleague Vlasta Klaric said, don't speak too much about the Danube, speak about Adriatic Ionian, I have to say something. Of course I will speak about the Ionian, because I do, me or us and myself, we do have a broad picture of the importance, ultimate importance of regional cooperation. If we don't cooperate together and work together, the tourism will recover much in a slower pace than we expected. Anyhow, Danube Competence Center is the management authority for the Roman Emperor's route and the Danube wine route. But Danube Competence Center is the management authority of the Via Illyricum, which is Adriatic Ionian Roman Emperor's route. So we do have countries on the Danube which are in the Roman Emperor's route, plus Albania, Northern Macedonia, Montenegro, and Bosnia in the Via Illyricum. Working with Roman Emperor's route, we developed several international projects. Last year, we had over 100,000 viewings of the sites of the Roman Emperor's route. So Danube is our roof brand, but all our members from all different countries are, with their brands, are incorporated in everything that we are delivering. We will have to, we promote nature.
Mrs. Plamenets, I'm
yes.
sorry, but I have to ask you to come to the concluding remarks.
I'm coming to the concluding remarks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are promoting nature-related holidays. We are promoting programs for city enthusiasts, but we are also working on the new destination management models, which should be more efficient and more professional than we've had before. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I will be here for all eventual questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Plamenets, and I apologize for having to interrupt, but we are running a bit late.
No, I understand perfectly.
Thank you very much.
It's when you are at the end.
Last but not least, your presentation, of course. In that respect, as time is short, I would turn again to State Secretary Tonci Glavina for his concluding remarks of the session. Please, you have the floor.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear perfectly well.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so for the conclusion, dear colleagues, dear speakers, we have just heard an excellent overview of the new trends and experiences in sustainable tourism with the sharp and detailed profile of a modern-day tourist and the summary of his expectations. Let us try to summarize the areas of future development. Our speakers were dealing with the new perspectives for entrepreneurship and SME revival and the actions of the European Commission in that sense. We have heard of innovative and smart destination management processes, of a need for fresh product ingenuity, and of the new technologies supporting resources and of sustainable new ways of transport. In addition, the important aspect of community was not neglected, but recognized in its role supporting authenticity through participatory tourism, providing as such new employment possibilities. Finally, we have heard a lot of profile of a new post-pandemic traveler with all his expectations. So to conclude, tourism of EUSAIR with a wide-ranging impact of the region is the key ecosystem important for EUSAIR destinations, the enterprises and employment depending on the consumer perspective. So we should take into account, excuse me just a second. I have a problem with my screen. Entrepreneurship, just a second, please. Entrepreneurship of SME and the drivers of the revival of European tourism. They're being tested by unprecedented crisis and are asking for all urgent support from EU in funding and planning the future with the support of macro-regional vision and cooperation. Consumer perspective is important, and we are recognizing the portrait of future traveler in EUSAIR region, taking into account safety and security and touchless approach, but also looking for new responsibility and humanization. The new pioneer and explorer will be in search for authentic and unique cultures, private retreats, silent and open spaces, vibrant destinations, transformative experiences, and still insight in the living tissue of the rural, remote, and small cities. Destination management. We have heard that creation of DMOs is seen as a solution integrated in a holistic and smart design supported by unique thematic products, redistribution of tourism interest, fully taken into account data and tourism flaws, sustaining all resources, natural, cultural, social, human, thus providing the new quality of life for local communities. Technology orientation and data-driven enterprises point towards virtual reality as a trend in tourism industry, which still needs significant work and improvement acquisition trainings and interdisciplinary competencies by presence of opportunity to provide an exquisite insight for a visitor into destination in advance, driving towards a responsible tourism, protecting the value and attractiveness of resources. Sustainability orientation was presented as a method linking tourism and sustainable water transport, driving towards a responsible business conduct and learning from the locals. And community orientation in the example that highlights trends towards slower traveler and more time to understand and learn about destination, towards smaller groups and a lot of dedicated private and family travel through participatory travel experiences, presenting the new chance of micro enterprises and social and economic drivers for the new jobs and employment oriented towards balanced regional development. So, concluding the session, we're all aware that a huge effort is still ahead of us. The tourism relies on the full confidence and trustworthy people-to-people relation. Thus, we're striving for the new vision of tourism, responsible, transformative, and resilient, fully devoted to our brave new consumers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, State Secretary Glavina. And I thank all speakers, because we have unfortunately reached the end of the session. We have no more time to take questions from audience, but I've seen that there was engage in exchange in the chat box. So I ask everyone who has questions and had not the time to answer them, unfortunately, to please contact the organizer. They will forward them to us, or to use the networking channels that we have through this user forum platform to connect with them. And we will answer everything that you would like to know, or how to get involved in cooperating in EUSAIR. And therefore, I would like to thank the speakers again for their interesting presentations and valuable input. And unfortunately, we cannot delve deeper into the topic, but like Ms. Plemanet said, cooperation as a tool is a supporting mechanism to recover faster together from the crisis, and EUSAIR will contribute to that. So thank you very much, and please enjoy the rest of the forum. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.